Howdy y'all, welcome to this fantastic video. So basically I'll get straight to the point. This is my entry for, the Vespid and Janjilah contest, scamming and all that. I mean preventing scams. I'll start with the ways to prevent scams. So first of all, never download any official apps from outside. Only use Google Store, the Huawei thing, Gallery, and then the app Store from Apple. Never download outside apps, or whether you see like unknown APK that you get from emails, the WhatsApp line and everything, because those things, the moment they come in your device, they will hack and remove everything in your device. I mean, hack, and remove what you have, your money, investments, and everything. You lose everything. Make sure your device is always updated the latest software. Like I saw the Maybank saying, or update to the latest iOS 26.6, or Android is at number 16, Android 16. Ensure your Google Play is also updated to the latest one. Not many people do that, but you gotta do that. Make sure it's updated as well. Okay, what else? Okay, if you need to verify anything, if someone calls you, if like someone calls you saying, "Hey, banks and what will never call you directly to ask for your details or payment." At worst, always double check. You can just call the say bank. Okay, your bank saying I need your details or what or whatever. Just call the bank hotline and verify for like an official source, like an officer or what. What else? Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get okay. What else? What else? Overall, just be careful and just check everything. Better to be paranoid than lose everything. Now, we get straight to the story of how one person can go from having everything at the top to losing everything. Let's go. Okay, her name's Mary. She's a 65-year-old woman. Growing up, she did pretty well. In school, graduated top university in NUS, and she had everything. She started as an AIA insurance agent, top contracts, all those money investments, selling insurance contracts. Everyone loved her, but ultimately she retired. She was great. She was an insurance agent. She had everything, like from start to work until she retired. When she retired, she was 59 years old, and now she was 65. She had everything. After she retired, she did great things. She contributed to charity, spent time with Tai Chi and her group of friends that she, had a group of friends. Thank you. She kept active every day, physically, and what? She only engaged with the electronic world, TV and what, like maybe end of night or when she really had time. And that's very rarely, like 9 out of 10, she'd be doing something useful. However, that's when tragedy struck. First, she suddenly got a stroke. Thank God she was taken to the hospital because she was outside and people quickly called for help, ambulance. However, she suffered some brain damage and she couldn't walk as well. After 2 weeks, she was ultimately discharged. Another thing was that she started actually feeling lonely because before this, she had children who stayed at home, lived with her children, three of them. But they grew up, they got married and had their own lives, then they moved out. They moved out, they had their own lives, working, had their own families and what. She did her best to, of course, keep in contact, but they didn't really acknowledge her much. I mean, she tried, but ultimately very cold response. It made her like even more depressed, especially after she lost more of her mobility. And then she lost her husband. Husband was killed in a hit and run. The Singapore Police Force, of course, fantastic force, did their best to look into it, but they could never find the perpetrator, despite their extensive efforts and everything. Looking at CCTV, witnesses interview, canvassing the area, nothing. And because of what happened, now obviously she got anxiety and depression she never recovered from. She didn't want to see psychologists or get help or anything because she found it was pointless given the tragedies. And all she did now was She cut herself from the outside world. No more charity helping or seeing her friends. She just spent all day doom scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, social media, you name it. Now, she connected with someone who just happened to reach out to her. His name was Harry. I'll be honest, this is just like Resident Evil 7. The moment Evelyn came into the Baker family, that's when trouble, everything, the bad happened, destroying the Baker family, except for one survivor, thank God. Now, the thing is, Harry, there was simple conversation, they talked via Facebook, TikTok. Harry was patient, sympathetic, but very patient. And, how do you say? Mary loved it. He was the only one who engaged, and he sounded like he cared. She spoke only to him. Then Harry started saying, "Oh, I got a stroke and cancer. I needed money." And then he said, "Oh, can you transfer me like, money, At first it was small amounts like start with 500, 1,000, things like that. Nothing too it's a lot, but definitely not too bad yet. How compared to later, because later the amounts increased because Harry kept saying, "Oh, my treatments for my stroke and cancer, brain cancer was requiring more and more expensive, serious treatments like chemotherapy and experimental gene therapy or what." So they, she had to pay more. She felt she didn't want. She just wanted control. She didn't want to lose like the only friend like seemingly you had. So she was boring. She used everything. Her, how do you say, like her savings, everything that invest, somewhat take out. She even how do you say that retirement fund thing and what that you save up throughout your thing, also take everything out and give him. In the end, the last tragic thing happened. Ultimately, she gave everything. She didn't even have $100 or even $10 to her name. Well, actually, not $100 lah. The moment she said, "I'm sorry, Harry, I can't give you anything else. I don't even have $100 to my name," he ghosted her. He blocked her. He blocked her. Saying, "I can't contact you." I mean, she couldn't reach him anymore. And that is when ultimately, it's interesting that you thought that you'd be duped. You are clearly duped, but she was in denial. She just accepted the fact that, oh, maybe Harry's just having trouble, and she believed that she still had a connection with him, when in fact she was just a victim of crime, of a scam lah. Even her family tried to convince after hearing what happened, but she refused to accept. She kicked everyone out again, and ultimately she was already a shell of life. She was vulnerable, and well, she lost everything. I guess the last point of this video is humans always need connection. And ultimately, it's good to just check in, say kind words, because you never know, that small thing you did might ultimately save another person. One small thing might be a big thing to another person, put a smile on another person, giving them a motivation to work, reduce anxiety, and so on. Yeah, so this video has gone long enough. Thanks, and remember, there are, of course, every group, organizations doing their part to cut scams, trying to reduce scams and what. But it may be troublesome, but it's for your own good. But ultimately, you have your part to do as well, to be aware, to be careful, take steps to just reduce scams. Remember, you can be at the top and at the bottom the next nanosecond. So just be cautious, think carefully, and be rational. We humans act on, we tend to be irrational, rash, but it's time we do have a rational ability to think rationally. So be rational. Just do it, okay? Just do it. Thank you for your time, and take care and stay safe. Goodbye.